Welcome back to KimTalks, all things real estate. You gotta love it, where we talk to women in all verticals of real estate because there's always something we can learn. And by the way, we hope you're hustling it, making it happen, and in it, really influencing your community and making it just a little bit better. So today we're super excited. I've got truly one of the kind of the cornerstones of being a voice within a vertical of real estate. But before we get to that, I want you all to flip over to queenofresilience.shop, right? It's online shopping, so super easy. You can do it in your shorts, your underwear, your pajamas, whatever you need. It's a lot of sass, a lot of fun. So straighten your crown, shop around at the queenofresilience.shop. So today, our guest, super excited, and I'm finding out so much more already. Jen Du Plessis. Now it's like a duplex, but Du Plessis or Du Plessis. It depends on how you want to put it. The American's Lifestyle Mentor. Jen is known as America's Lifestyle Mentor and Business Performance Coach. People most attracted to Jen are high-achieving professionals and entrepreneurs who are missing something. Through her mastermind, she helps people increase the awareness of what's possible to multiply their results in record time while having the courage to say yes to their personal lives. I love that. It's trying to find that balance is important.
Yeah.
She has been in the financial service industry for 4 decades, although she looks like she probably started it when she was 5. And she was listed as the top 200 of nationally ranked mortgage originators and funded over, holy crow, 1 billion in mortgage loans. She is a 9 times #1 Amazon best-selling author, host of 2 top podcasts, and host of the streaming talk show Tell Me I Can't. An expert in changing lifestyles that are fulfilling, priority on time management, business relationships, business scaling, sales management, and a certified mastermind facilitator. Jen believes that entrepreneurs can live their legacy while building it. And it's time to start living a life of luxury every day. This is like, Jen, you've got it dialed in. Like you're my superhero.
Thank
Where's
you.
your cape?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, I'm so happy to be here. I can't wait to provide as much value as I can in the time that we have together. I'm
Well,
excited.
awesome. Well, so our baseline in everything we do with KimTalks, be it real estate or be it entrepreneurs, kind
Mhm.
of the
Yeah.
resilient side, is
Yeah.
resilience. So the very
Mhm.
first thing I like to do is I'd like to explore your background. I'm sure you
Mhm.
were born in Ivy League, silver spoon with the Kennedys. I mean, you
Right.
must be in order to be
Right.
as successful as you are. But if you could
Yeah.
share with us, a little bit of
Yeah.
who is Jen? What is a little piece of your origin story that we're not reading in your bio?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'm going to give you the condensed version so we can get to the meat of everything, right? So I'm one of 36 first cousins. And we all had a nickname. We had Dan the Man and Gene the Machine, and mine happened to be Jenny who ain't got a penny. And
Oh, sweet.
yeah, so I didn't quite understand it, so I carried a penny around in my shoe, and every time my uncle said that, I said, "No, I have a penny." I thought it was a joke. It wasn't until later that I understood, when my one of my uncles, my uncle Darcy, said to me, Jenny, you're going to be just like your mom and dad. You're going to be poor. You're going to be an alcoholic like your dad, a verbal abuser like your mom. You really aren't going to amount to anything." And there was a very dramatic situation that happened when I was about 9 years old, and that was the change for me that and I said, I'm not going to be like them. And so I set out in a life of proving. I'm going to prove to everybody. And so I was runner up Miss Colorado. I was pre med. I was a tennis player's tennis champion. I played flute piccolo in the Colorado Springs Symphony at the time while I was in high school. You name it, I overachieved it. I was a cheerleader, you name it. And I took that into my business as well. So I started in the mortgage business in 1983 when rates were 18.5%. I didn't know what percent was other than shopping. I knew 50% off something. I was 19 at the time. Technically, I started a little bit earlier with DECA. And, I typed title policies with an old fashioned typewriter. And I remember we had to stick the white thing in to go back, and, the rest is kind of history. But, I was a top producer right from the get go. I was one of the original FHA underwriters. But I didn't like paper. I liked people. And I went into the sales aspect of it and, was doing about 50 million a year. I was in the top 1% for years and years, but I was exhausted doing it because I was proving. And another episode happened, and I said, you know what? I'm done. I am done proving, and I want to start living. And I thought there's got to be a better way to do this 50 million a year. And what ended up happening, we explore all that. What ended up happening is they ended up going to 102 million, popped up into the top 200 loan officers in the country. And at that time, we had 785,000 loan officers. And what ended up happening was I doubled my volume and my income, and I worked 4 days a week. So I figured out the combination. I call it cracking the top producer code because I figured out that what is the code to this, and the rest is history. So I'll stop there. So that's kind of my history.
That is amazing. We have a lot of parallels. We have a lot of
Mhm.
parallels. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, so I know, and I did not come from the best of
Mhm.
family, and I
Mhm.
get it. I get
Yeah.
it. So okay. So you also have a true voice of authority that you've proven through your podcasting and such. But we're going to
Mhm.
quickly dive into what it is you do. So
Yeah.
everybody who's watching this, we all know that revenue generation is as important as having a balance within your personal life.
Mhm.
Drinking enough water, having people around you that love you, creating a community and sphere. But we're going to dive a little bit into what are you doing today for revenue creation, and then we're
Mhm.
going to reverse engineer that as to how that fits into the skill sets you built originally. How does that sound?
Mhm. Yeah, that sounds
Awesome.
great. That
So
sounds great. Yeah.
how do you make your money today?
Yeah, so primarily, I make my money coaching mortgage loan officers. I've been a coach to, and actually, as a loan officer, my mechanism for generating that much business was to have relationships, very few, to be honest with you, with real estate agents. Most of my business was with financial planners. But I had a handful of real estate agents, and I did a lot of education, CE classes through our local association. And that was my mechanism to sort of pick from the litter of who I wanted to work with, because I believe that you should work with people that complement and not complicate. And not everybody compliments. And so I started doing all these CE classes, 26 hours of CE classes that I got approved in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I started having real estate agents say, "Hey, could you coach me? Could you be my growth consultant?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." And so I have been coaching real estate agents almost 22 years now. But when I made the transition 4 years ago, I retired from lending and made the transition 4 years ago. I stopped coaching realtors and only started coaching loan officers. Now I've been coaching them for about 8 years, but so my primary bread and butter is coaching loan officers, high end loan officers who are ready to really crack that code and go to that next level. Um, so that's primarily where it is. I'm also an international speaker and one of the top speakers in the mortgage industry. So I have speaking fees, and then I have my TV show and my podcast. So I'm generating money from or income from a lot of different sources, and I'm an avid real estate investor. So I have that side of the business as well. So there's multiple streams for me
Yeah.
coming in. But primarily it's the coaching and my masterminds. I do masterminds for everybody. I don't care what business they're in. But yeah, we do the masterminds as well. So that's where that's coming from now.
So the core of this is though, and what I want everybody to notice is that it is your brand. And I believe your brand is transferable to
Mhm.
nearly any vertical at this point in time.
Yeah.
But you built the brand servicing a niche market,
Yes.
but you were the brand. And I find that
Mhm.
especially in real estate, the biggest mistake I see realtors do is they put the brokerage brand first and their name
Ugh,
second. And
yeah.
that is the that is death to mobility. And so
Yeah.
it's the very first thing I teach people is you need to have confidence within your brand, which is you.
Yeah, it's you incorporated.
Exactly, exactly. Because as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
I am uh, brokerage. I call it brokerage agnostic because brokerages all want you to believe that it's the
Yeah.
best religion out there. But
Right.
and I've been with a couple big brokerage houses, and I do believe I made good choices, but my choice is not everybody's choice. But at the end of the day, the public knew my name.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
and that's critical.
that is critical. That is critical. If you've got Remax, KW, EXP,
Mhm. Coldwell Banker,
Sutton,
you
Coldwell
keep
Baker,
them
you
on
have
the list.
any of
Yeah.
that in your
Yeah.
email or website, you are creating a fatal flaw.
Right,
You
you're
are,
creating a brand for them, not
yeah,
for yourself. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. I totally agree with you.
yeah, and I think that's, I mean, it's one of the first five. I have five principles to cracking the top producer code, and it's one of the first principles is clarity, right? Clarity of your brand and what aligns with you, and not the blur, not clarity of the brand of the company that you hang your license at. And I deal with this with loan officers as well, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, because it's the same thing, and I deal with this with business owners, who have franchises and this, that, and the other, and it's yeah. I mean, I deal with this every single day, but clarity of your brand is really, really critical. Because listen, otherwise, I would just be a retired loan officer.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have the freedom to do what the next level of what I
Yeah,
want to do, that
yeah,
passion project, if I had just been, the Royal LePage agent,
yep,
right?
yep,
In
yep,
fact, when I left Royal LePage after 14 years, my personal assistant's sister-in-law, who, by the way, my personal assistant's brother was doing filming for me, the sister-in-law asked me, "How do you feel about leaving Remax?" Nobody knew what brokerage I was at. All they knew was
right.
Kim Hayden was the mayor of Town,
Yeah.
and so that's the reality. I
Mhm.
transitioned from one brokerage after 14 years to another brokerage without any hiccups.
Yeah,
Like,
nobody knows. Yeah,
nobody knows,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, you know
Mhm.
what? Are you open to sharing those top 5
Of course.
producers? I would love that. So we have clarity of brand.
Yeah, so it's a clarity of brand, but clarity of your message, is I think even more important, especially in our industries. We have, and I get it. We steal from one another. We find a cool idea and we take it, and we always say, don't reinvent it, and I get that. But a lot of times what happens is when you see something that you think is really cool and you grab it and you try to make it your own and it doesn't align with you, then you can't figure out why it doesn't work. So we had to be really clear on what our brand is. And it starts with values, your core values, and what fulfills you, right? Because this is all about living this life of luxury, which isn't all about money. It's the
Yeah,
luxury of making the choice, is designing that fulfilling life. And so that's huge. Like, who do you want to be? How does the world see you? Are you professional? Are you funny? Are you do you dress professionally? Do you not dress professionally? How do you type things? How do you write things? How do you visualize? And creating that brand so that there's consistency in the messaging and then consistency in delivering it. And so often there's inconsistent messaging inconsistently, right? And
absolutely.
yeah, and so that's number 1 is clarity. Number 2 is credibility, and making sure that you have all the right designations, but also, making sure that you are the expert, right? Niche into that. And it's just marketing. I think what scares people about niching is they think they're going to lose. But if you're marketing to everybody about everything, you're marketing to everybody about nothing. So niche into your expertise, what you love to do, And that becomes your marketing. And then you can let everybody know that you do everything, but that becomes your marketing. And, I think that's really clear with, let's say, Starbucks, for example. I don't think I've ever seen an ad for them talking about their little cake pops. They advertise coffee, and they're not Slurpees, but they're things, right? But yet when you go in there, they've got a multitude of things. So keep your marketing in one lane,
Yeah.
and then improve your credibility and your influence in the marketplace by doing one to many, as often as you can sponsor, as often as you can speak at events, and offer those opportunities. So that's, I think, really clear. And so elevating yourself to be that expert, and that's incredibility. Next is your community. Are you nurturing or neglecting your alumni clients? Now,
Yep.
why do I call them alumni? Because everyone says past clients all the time. Well, when I hear past, I don't see PAST, I see PASSED. And in our industry, we go to a closing. And so we close the casket because they passed away. And we think linear, got to lead, close the deal, got to lead, close the deal. And if we can think in the terms of alumni, right? And what do alumni do? They come back in and they tell everybody about you, and they donate, right? Or give you money because they buy with you again, or tell you, the friends about you. They're very loyal. And
Yep.
so making sure that you have these acres of diamonds already in your possession, don't neglect them, nurture them, right? But then in addition to that, again, I mentioned this earlier, is work with people that complement and not complicate. Get rid of people who complicate. You don't have time. All of these strategies are to attract clients, not for you to have to chase. And why? Because I wanted to attract people to give me back time. And what ended up happening was I attracted so many that my volume went up, but I still got my time, right? And I was able to scale. So community is the next. Communication is the next, which is scaling. I do a lot of training on scaling. People do it so wrong. And, with scaling, you need to make sure that you have systems that aren't in your head, but are on paper, so that you can transfer that to other people. And they need to be efficient and effective. I've seen a lot of people have very effective systems for client experience, because customer experience is gone. I mean, customer service is gone now. It's all about the experience. How do you make them feel by having worked with you, so that they're so compelled to tell their friends? You can create a revolving door of referrals day in, day out, right? It needs to be effective, but it also needs to be efficient. If you can't deliver it seamlessly, then it's going to bog you down, right? It'll be like a ball and chain. So that's the communication, and that's building your team and really understanding smart scaling. And I call it the 3 V's of smart scaling. And then last but not least is continuity. Now, if you look up the word continuity versus consistency, there's a very specific definition about this. Continuity is priority management. You've got to know what you want to do. Statistically, 95% of realtors wake up every day without a plan.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get in, get it done. I call it work on purpose so you can play with passion. The great Les Brown says, if you'll do what's easy, your life will be hard. If you do what's hard, your life will be easy. So dig in, figure out what you want, figure out what every day is going to look like, get in, do your work, and then go have fun.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
And you know
once
what's
I
funny?
figured those out, boom chaka,
Well,
you know.
and you can work and have fun at the same time if that's your
Absolutely.
personality.
Yeah.
I love to throw a party. I love to
I'm
cook
a
for people.
girl.
So I
Yeah.
mean, we to this day, even though we are no longer marketing, we are trying to ease our way out of real estate. We're on the road and we're getting calls from past clients. They're going, "Oh, by the way, my aunt's husband passed away.
Huh.
Can you help them?"
Yeah.
No, so it's like, okay,
Yeah,
we
and
can
I
do
get that
this.
too. I get that too, and thankfully my husband and I was the lead, and I brought my husband in. We've been married 39 years, but I brought him in about 17 years in, and we were a team. And I was the lead and he was the support. And then now he and my daughter are working together. So I'm still getting referrals and passing them to them, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah. And I think
absolutely.
that's really key. So the last thing I want to just say is that clarity and continuity are the bookends for this, because those are the mindset. I believe that mindset plus mechanics equals momentum. So those are the mindset pieces. The interior are the mechanics, what you do every day, how you function,
Yeah,
how you know, bring yourself in. And so your day can have you can have a rough day, but you have your bookends to get you back on track, right? Because tomorrow
absolutely.
you already know what you're going to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things that I see in real estate, and this is due to kind of the Hollywood influence. The HGTV is now 28 years old. We have, Selling
Selling
Sunset.
sunset.
Yeah, all these things is that a lot of real estate agents who are almost have a shame factor around what their clarity of niche is. It's not sexy. It's not big luxury houses. It's not that. I was always very proud about the fact that I served the middle economy, the growing families, and that even though there was 300 of this specific model built, and I could walk through and tell you that, exactly what the challenges on resale with the model is, because everyone has one, and what the benefits were. Every home had a different, I don't want anybody to think that I'm taking this down a woohoo kind of road here, but the reality is homes have energy and they have uniqueness based on the homeowners, right?
Right, right, right.
What do you say to people who maybe are not working in what is truly aligned with them, but they're trying to work what they think is
Everybody. Yeah.
is what everybody wants, the
Yeah.
skinny pant, no sock, the perfect white teeth. I'm not trying to pick on
I
anybody
know,
with
no, but
skinny teeth and no
gosh, when you watch
socks,
Selling
but
Sunset, I'm like, I cannot believe they're
But
selling.
I think actually Hollywood has done a disservice to real estate
Yeah.
agents,
Oh,
because
no
when
question.
we look back to the 1950s, and I'm not saying we're going back to the 1950s, but when we look back, it was the real estate office, the banker, the butcher, the grocer. These were the florists. These were the people who sponsored little Timmy's soccer team, and these were the people who
Right.
created community. And I see this so often in real estate agents going, oh, well, right now I'm just working in starter homes, but I'm going to do luxury. And it's like, what do you say to those agents who maybe
Mm.
are not working in their true authenticity, who they
Yeah.
are? I mean,
Yeah, there's a
that's
couple so there's a couple things that I would say about it is that, so let me start on the high side of this, and hopefully I'll remember this question. I may have to have you remind me again here in a second because there's so many things I want to say. But there's the authority figure that comes with the persona of I'm a mortgage lender, right? I'm a loan officer, I'm a real estate agent, or I'm a realtor, right? There is authority figure that comes with that. And we have to step into that authority. We have to step into that, like assume the position, right? Step into that authority. Once you've closed business, then it becomes a trust position, not an authority, authority figure, but a trust figure, because you can't really rely on the authority that you had, because now what people are looking for is the trust side of this. So I would just say, and so this lends itself to credibility, definitely. The other part of this is that sometimes the best way to figure out what your niche is to determine what you don't like. So if I said, you said young families, et cetera. So if I said to a real estate agent, and I've coached them in the past saying, okay, do you like clients who have the kids running around the house and blah, blah, blah. I hate it. Good. Then you don't work with those clients. Now you don't say that. You don't say, I don't work with people who have kids, but rather you say, I work with young professionals who don't have children yet, right? Or, young professionals. If you say, I'm a first time home buyer person, that's a big net. That's not a niche. And I think that's a problem right there. Are you first time home buyers who are single women? Are you first time home buyers who are single men? Are they professional? Are they blue collar? Do they have children? Where are they looking in the country? Are they urban, suburban, whatever? The closer you can get to that niche, the better your message is going to be out in the marketplace. You're going to be known for that, right? So it's identifying where your passions are. It's one of the things that I always find is really funny. So my niches were jumbo, right? So the luxury. I like the complexity of their financial situations, and because I'm a jumbo client, I could understand them very well. My husband, who is a jumbo client, actually likes USDA loans, right? He likes serving the blue collar, and that's fine. Um, but I would do the jumbo loans and VA jumbo. And I live in Washington, right outside of Washington, D.C. So we had the luxury of doing a lot of people at the Pentagon and at Congress and senators and the White House. So that was my niche. But here's my other niche, investors, because I'm an investor. So it became my niche. And I'm so amazed with real estate agents. It honestly drives me crazy. Like, I'm a real estate agent, but all I do is condos and single families. And that's all I do, right? And it drives me crazy. You are a real estate agent. That means you do commercial. That means you do investor deals. That means you do multifamily. It means you do mixed use. Find your niche. Find what is exciting for you. And yes, you can serve all of them, but find what is most exciting for you. The investor community is so underserved by real estate agents who have knowledge in that arena. It's so
Absolutely.
underserved. Yeah.
Absolutely. I am guilty myself. I have helped people with investment properties, but because they're within, I've always worked within Geo Farm because I raised children in this business and I always wanted to be close at hand.
Yeah.
So by becoming a listing agent in
Hmm.
a Geo Farm, I was
Hmm.
able to actually control the flow and the time
Yeah.
spent on the road. So I
Yeah.
was very intentional. Everybody goes, Kim, you got to get out of your bubble. And it's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good with my bubble.
Yeah.
I did over $580 million of transactions with the
Yeah.
average house price being
Right.
$400,000.
Right.
I'm good. Thank you. So bubbles
Right.
work. Find what you can be proud of. And what I'm proud of is not necessarily the price of the homes, but the service I gave my clients. I have
Right.
had the
And
opportunity to go to
yeah.
baby showers and weddings, and I've been adopted into so many
Yes.
families and
Me
be
too.
seen as a
Yeah.
friend. So
Yeah. I think the difference is inspiration and motivation, right? There's a difference. Motivation is external, it's a vicious cycle. It's like, I'm not motivated. I think I'll go to a conference. And then you get to the conference, you get all excited, and then you get deflated because it's fleeting, right? It's external. Inspiration is an inside job. When you can identify your true niche, the thing that you get up every day, and for those that are listening, I mean, I'm 58, so I remember the commercial with Dunkin' Donuts, which was time to make the
make the
donut,
donuts.
right? Right. And if that's you every day, you haven't found your inspiration.
Yeah,
You haven't found it, because when you have that inspiration and it's an inside job and you're saying, this is who I want to serve, you'll jump out of bed every day because you're just saying, hey, and I do this prayer every day, is like, Lord, help me find somebody out there, right? Today, someone out there is looking for me. Help me find them, right? And so when you manifest that, it comes at you. When you're manifesting
absolutely.
just anything and everything, and God, I hope I get something, and the hope and prayer method, and all of that. That's why you're not manifesting these things to come to you and be attracted to. Instead, you're a cat on a marble floor in oil.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And part of that is having that, like I said, not motivation, but that inspiration. I
Inspiration.
know who I want to serve, and
Mhm.
they just need to know I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
So,
Everything you do
so
is about that.
I get that. This is so. Before we jump to the next, and this is where I'm gonna let you prime up in your head, and this is where I ask about resiliency.
Mhm. Yeah.
And if you're open to sharing, and you can share whatever point, and we all have so many of them, but is there a time within your business life of building and growing and your family, your business, your brand,
Mhm.
everything to where you're at? Because you did not come from the silver spoon and ready-made wealth.
Mhm.
Is
Mhm.
there a time where without resiliency, you would not be sitting in that chair? And before you
Mhm.
answer that, in case this gets chopped up by one of our network partners, I always like to plant this in the middle. Be sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, 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 please. this is how we keep this moving forward. It costs you nothing. It means the most to us. It is the world to me. If you like, comment, subscribe, and share, give us some feedback. And while you're doing that, be sure to pop over after this episode to our sponsor, queenofresilience.shop. Shop around, and you will be seeing this fall an entire line of really fun real estate paraphernalia coming out, bags and shirts and notebooks and all sorts of things coming your way. So now that I got that in there, I've done my due diligence. Resiliency. Because I'm looking at you right now. This has been smooth selling. You haven't had any issues with a bid. You haven't had any issues with a client.
If you only knew. Yeah, right.
Tell me about the time that without resiliency, you wouldn't be sitting right there in that chair with the life you have.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple times, but I'll tell you one very quickly, and then the other one I would really want to focus on. But, I feel like I was raised in the mortgage industry. Back then it was a good old boy world, and as a woman in it, and I'm not really. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I don't really jump onto that bandwagon of women empowerment and women. I just feel like, I do what I'm going to do, and I use my facts and my figures, and I do, that's the resilience, right? The resilience of just do the work, And, when I look back on that, I was overlooked, several times for some powerful positions. And I've always felt it was because I was a woman. I was the token woman, going out for cocktails on Thirsty Thursdays back then. And, all of those pieces. And one of the very few women who was an originator, because most women were operations. So that resilience there, I think, was powerful. I'm thankful that I really entered the industry in the ops side and really excelled into underwriting, because that gave me the background that I needed to excel well beyond anybody else around me. And I was always in the top, of everything in my company. So that resilience, I think, is one that's good. I just do the work, put my head down and do the work. I don't play games with, I'm a woman, you should take more care of me. Nope, do the work. Later, that individual who overlooked me is now one of my dear friends, and very well known in the industry. But so that was, I think one of the first things as you're saying this is that's one of the first things. Just charge through. No one's going to stop me. No one's going to get. And this is the name of my streaming television show, which is Tell Me I Can't. Like, get out of my way. Don't tell me I can't. Right. That's the first thing. The second thing is when I had this second epiphany, which I didn't share the story. I was basically, we all get that phone call from our clients. I was technically at dinner. I'm doing air quotes if you're not watching this. Right? Yeah. I was at dinner with my family, and a client called, or probably a realtor, right? Called, and I'm like, oh, I got to take this. So I go outside, and I'm walking what I call the concrete balance beam. We all know that, right? Walking back and forth on the curb, and doing our little dance and nodding to people as they're coming in. But I happened to look over into the window of the restaurant, and I saw my family creating all these beautiful memories, laughing and enjoying themselves, but I was never in them, right? And so the most resilience I had to have was saying no to other people and saying yes to me. And you had that in my bio, that's probably one of the hardest things that we all do in order to move forward. I would not be here if I didn't do that move forward, if I didn't really work hard at trying and proving, and not that kind of proving, but I have a proven system that I've excelled numerous people's lives, doubled and tripled their income, because this is a proven system. And that resilience had to be there, because it's so easy just to back off and say, I quit, I just give up. But I had to continue to go forward with that. And it was very trying, right? I felt, hey, there's a realtor that, every time that we work together, they make somebody on my team cry, they're out. This financial planner doesn't follow up with what he says, he's out. And I had a lot of, come to Jen meetings, right? My own board meeting with myself, where I had to make these hard decisions. And that resilience really brought me, through to that point. And we just have to understand that there are people that are meant to be in our lives, and there are people who are not meant to be. And we don't have to be everybody's best friend. And because I went into the top 200, people started calling me and saying, "What's the secret? What's the secret?" And I'm such a giver that I was giving my time. And then I
Mhm.
said, "Wait a minute, I don't have time to answer all these questions. What's a mechanism I could use?" And that's when the podcast started, Mortgage Lending Mastery. Had I not had that podcast, I wouldn't have had people calling me to coach them. I wouldn't have had people calling me and saying, "Can you speak on my stage? Can you come to my sales rally for both real estate and lending?" And I would have just been a retired loan officer, or I would still be in the industry and being miserable because I knew I wanted to make a more significant impact in the world and give back to my community. I believe you learn, then you earn, and then you return. And so many of us, our mess becomes our mission, right?
Yeah. No,
And that's where my resilience stands. Mhm.
that yeah, that is brilliant. How many kids did you raise in the business?
2,
2.
and they're both in it. They got in the
Awesome.
quicksand,
Awesome.
and so is my husband. Right?
Awesome. Well, my husband joined me. We've been
Yeah,
married 27 years.
yeah,
My middle child has gone in.
yeah.
My
They got
oldest
in the
farms.
quicksand, as we call it. But, my kids own real estate. I mean, multiple properties. We're all, multiple real estate investors. And, we own all kinds of stuff. I hold notes. I do things. I actually still have a mortgage company. It's called Situational Lending, but I'm not licensed anymore. I gave up my license. I only do non owner occupied investment properties. I do fix and flips. I do buy and holds. I do, syndications. That's the market I want to play in. And so I've got 3 loan officers who work for me, East Coast, Middle, and West. And I don't originate, but I still talk to realtors so that my coaching clients can never say to me, "Well, you're out of it." No, I'm not.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And I
Exactly.
buy my own too. So I'm in it, believe me.
Yep, absolutely. This is around the time that I love to talk books. Now, you are a published author multiple
Yeah,
times,
and when you read that, I go, "Oh my gosh, I've got to change that." I'm now a 12 time, not
12
9,
time.
12-time number 1 bestselling author. So
What
there's some
is
syndications, but then there's also my books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so let's real quick, what's your most recent book you published?
The most recent book that I published is this one called Tell Me I Can't. Yeah, Tell Me I
Awesome.
Can't. Now,
And
this
is
is
that
a fiction book. So if we actually are writing a screenplay for Hallmark, and we did this on purpose. So if you watch Hallmark, you know how this book is going to go. But the undertones are my thought processes of, am I good enough? Wait a minute, I am. I don't know. Am I? Ooh, they hurt me. My thought process going through it. So that's what Tell Me I Can't is. My most favorite book, and which is my first book, is called Launch: How to Take Your Business to New Heights. And this is specifically for sales professionals. And this is my favorite book. And this is my hope is that people dog ear and make this a mess, because it's like a soup for the soul, which ironically, Mark Victor Hansen is a very good friend of mine, and he's the person who endorsed this book. And I
awesome.
didn't even ask him. He called me one day and said, "Hey, could I endorse your book?" And I was like, yes, you
Yes.
can.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a soup for the soul launches. So you can just open it up and find a strategy that day and some action items to go take. And, it's all the pieces of what I've already talked about. It doesn't have the 5
Amazing.
principles because that's something newer from the book.
Amazing, and we're always evolving. We're always
Oh, yeah,
evolving.
of
I
course.
I'm
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
every day, the hardest challenge, I think, for people like yourself and like myself is staying focused. What is the vertical we're working on? Staying
Yeah.
in that lane,
Yeah.
long enough to complete that lane, because
Right.
there's so many opportunities when you create opportunities. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, is you don't wait for opportunities to be created for you. You create opportunities.
Yeah, I'm always in movement,
Yeah.
but I don't believe in balance. I mean, I know that a lot of people say that I don't believe in balance. I'm in and present, and then I maneuver to be in and present. I have
Yeah.
4 businesses, so every day of the week, I focus on a different business. I
Oh,
own
smart.
Airbnbs, I have real estate, I don't know, $30 million worth of property, so I'm always dealing in that. And then I have this business, and then I have the mortgage. So every single day of the week, and I only work for 4 days still. So every single day of the week, I'm focused on one business.
Brilliant.
And so the reason by balance is a problem is if you look at scales, you're 50-50. So you're never in 100%. No wonder you can't get traction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So around about now is when I always ask, and this is, I learn so much about people, and I get inspired by this piece, is I want to know a quote
Mm,
or a
yeah,
saying that
yeah,
inspires you, your North Star,
yeah.
because no matter how beautiful our lives look, no matter how much we only see the Insta glam roll here, right? The
Mhm.
reality is there's always something on the backside. There's always something. If you are a person of depth,
Mhm.
there's something every week that comes up that we have to pull from within. What is that
Mhm.
quote for you? What is that saying for you? What's your go-to?
Yeah. Well, I already gave you one quote, which is from Les Brown. I'm on his speaking faculty, which is if you'll do what's hard, your life will be easy. If you do what's easy, your life is going to be hard. So if you feel like your life is hard, it's because you're skimming through the front side of this, right? So do what's hard so that it can be easy on the backside. And yes, it takes work. And yes, it takes focus. So that is definitely one. But the other is a quote that my mom had, and this really aligns with, creating this life of luxury for yourself, because I'm all about making sure that you come first. And so here's the quote: "We flatter those we scarcely know. We please the fleeting guests, but we deal many a thoughtless blow to those we love the best, including ourselves." So stop
That is
pleasing
beautiful.
everybody. Stop pleasing everybody. Please yourself. Tell people that you'll get back to them when you can get back to them, instead of, not going to the recital or hopping out of the recital and sitting in your car with your laptop as you're creating a contract. I've been there. Right?
That's beautiful. You gave me goosebumps. Your mom sounds like a really awesome person.
Yeah.
So, where can people find you, Jen? We have your website up on the so, but where else can they find you?
Yeah, well, I'm all over social media. It's Jen Du Plessis, all over social media. But if you want to connect with me, you can text the word Jen, and I'm a one N Jen, Jen, right? And not Jan, Jennifer, Jen. Text Jen to 26786, and let's get connected. Let's get connected and work with us. I have a couple of events coming up, June 13th and 14th. We have Cracking the Top Producer Code. It's a 2-day virtual. The tickets are $97, but if you contact me at jenduplessis.com and let me know that you heard this, I will let you come into this thing free. How's that sound? So
Amazing.
yeah, so it's a 2-day event. So if we want to dig deeper into what I'm talking about, come to the event.
And it never hurts to invest a little time into learning more and
Oh,
just
absolutely. Yeah.
recentering. That's what it sounds like you're offering, is an opportunity to recenter and to move forward.
Well, and especially now, we're coming up to the end of June, which is halftime. And what do football teams and all kinds of teams do at halftime? They go in the locker room and they figure out, how am I winning? If I'm losing, what do I need to change? How do I keep winning? This is the perfect
Absolutely.
time of the year to do that reset.
Absolutely. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to share it with everybody. Jen reminded me of one of my favorite quotes I learned from my mother, is that Kimberly Joe: "Poverty is a state of mind, not a state of economics." So if today's a little
Mm,
rough, money's a little tight, lean into the resilient community, lean in to Jen's community. Find the people that can inspire you to
mhm,
get your clarity, to create your credibility, to expand your community, to create the communication so you can start scaling and understand its continuity over consistency. And we learned that all today. So again, I'm Kim Hayden. I'm your host here at Kim Talks, all things real estate. And you know what? If you're feeling that your resiliency is lagging a little bit, lean into the resilient community. You can get a free membership at resilientgift.com. And hey, if you have an awesome story on resiliency or on real estate or any aspect or vertical within real estate, I'd love to have a talk and see what you can share with other people. Because remember, sharing is caring. Be sure to stop by, be sure to join. And until next time, I appreciate your time, because I know time is our most valuable resource. Again, until next week, take care and be good to yourself.